I'm Claudine Wong, joining you from the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm joined by Chris Mallett and Robert Miller, both directors of the California Conservatory of Music. Thanks so much for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so let's talk about what the California Conservatory of Music is, what it does, who it serves.
Yeah, of course. So we're a music school. We started in 2011. We have 33 teachers here, about 600 students, and we primarily teach private lessons, one-on-one lessons. We have guitar lessons, piano lessons, violin lessons, voice lessons, and some cello lessons as well.
And so how have you guys been impacted by the shelter in place and the shutdown and really this world that we're living in now? Obviously, you guys like to do a lot of things one-on-one in person, right?
Yeah, of course. At first it was very tough. Like even before the shelter in place, there were a lot of concerned students and families. So we started to switch the lessons over to doing them on Zoom. And by the time shelter in place was put in place, we already had been doing Zoom, and so we were able to transition the whole school to doing private one-on-one lessons with Zoom, and then we were able to add some extra value for people by offering them free virtual group classes, some virtual recitals, and just started to try to have fun with the format as much as we could. So
that's great, because I think in this day and age you have to rethink it. Were there people who were resistant? And really, when you're talking about the economy as well, your instructors and the people, they need to be innovative in order to make sure that everyone also stays stable in this.
Yeah. I think we're very lucky to have a very supportive group of families, students, and teachers, and I think that's why we've always considered ourselves, we've always called ourselves more of a community than just a school. And when we did the switch over to Zoom, basically 100% of the families were totally on board, and all of the teachers as well. We had to quickly have everyone kind of give some training to the teachers on how to use Zoom with the students, and the students it was really easy for them to do the switch. And, in a time where a lot of these other activities for the kids were getting canceled or postponed, we were able to just go without any interruption and just have this really sense of normalcy for the students to continue their weekly lessons.
That's fantastic. I want to pull up this video from YouTube if I can, and see if I can share that so people can see what we're talking about. I actually can't even see if we're seeing what we're talking about, in terms of the music. Are you seeing the YouTube video?
Yeah, that's a video about our so students get direct attention and leave with a clear sense of what to practice at home. Students love our fun practice challenges and awards, and we host recitals and events.
Okay, so there we go with some of the ways that you guys normally do it, right? Tell me, 100% of people wanting to switch over, that's actually pretty amazing, I think.
Well, yeah, and there was definitely some people that kind of voiced their concerns about doing it, and whether whether the value would be there, and so we told them, like, just try it, and if you don't like it, we're happy to accommodate you. And the majority of people ended up kind of being really impressed with the format, and so yeah, like Chris said, we have a great community here, and we're happy to, with the even more people starting to contact us, to kind of start up on Zoom during these times, because so many of the kids' activities have been canceled in these times. So it's a great opportunity to start an instrument, I think.
Right. Well, I wonder, for the non-musician in me says, well, can you actually see what their fingers are doing on a guitar? Can you see are you doing it mostly by sound to say you're not hitting that note right on the piano, or you're not, is it harder to teach it? I mean, obviously the one-on-one is nice.
There's definitely, there's no complete replacement to the one-on-one in-person lessons. But, we worked with the teachers to get camera angles right. Robert and I were making sure we had really good camera angles too. And we worked with all of our students the first week to get their camera angles correct as well. So it's actually quite easy to see the finger placements so they can watch us. It's easy for us to make corrections for the students It's definitely a little bit more based on sound, but we can clearly see each other's hands, and the instruction is incredibly clear that way.
Let's
Yeah, and I
talk. Yeah. Go ahead, Robert.
yeah, the other thing too is that you can do great things with like sharing screens, like sharing the music score, so you can write right into it. Students can record the lessons as you're recording this, so they can reference it during the week when they practice. And there's trade-offs for sure, but there's also things that you can do that are really interesting with the technology these days.
Yeah, and the technologies. Do you find that you know, younger people always teach us about technology and they're like, oh yeah, you do it this way. Is it hard for your instructors who maybe are old school, as they say, to adapt to this, or have you been surprised at how quickly they adapt as well?
I think all the teachers adapted pretty fast, some faster than others, of course, but that being said, every single one of our teachers is teaching on Zoom, and now we're in our third or fourth week of doing it on Zoom, and I think everyone is just totally in the flow. I definitely had to have some of my young students teach their parents how to use Zoom a little bit. That's one thing I noticed.
Yeah. Well, here's I'll pull up this picture of one of the students. So, and then we can see in this picture, which is interesting, right? That you can see both people in the Zoom call, and the student on their guitar. And so that there is, in the music in front of them, there's a pretty nice microphone in this shot. Do you need to have all of that, or can we get it to the
No,
basics of throwing it on a phone and doing
yeah,
it that
you
way?
can just do it right on a phone, a tablet. I mean, this is one of my students, and they have a nice microphone that they use for recordings and whatnot. So they're a bit of a serious student, but you can really just get started with a phone. That's all you
Yeah.
need.
Well, I mean, we're jealous of the stuff people have, right? that you're like, ooh, do I need that? Do I need that?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I guess I should pull up the picture on your side of what it looks like on the other side of that call, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
And see,
yeah,
that
one of my
works.
young students there, he's only 10 years old.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. And it makes it easier. I would also think that, that connection to music is something that you guys as musicians probably know better than anyone on how much it helps us through this crazy time that we're living in, and that it's important to have that continuity in any way that we can have that continuity.
Yeah. Yeah, we've gotten so much feedback, and I've talked to so many students that have said that, there's times in this isolation that they've just, their mind is just wandering, and all they have to do is pick up their instrument and start playing, and it just totally centers them and grounds them, and kind of reminds them that, like we're in this huge universe together, and music kind of connects all of us, and that this is not going to last forever. This
It
is just
better
something
not.
that's temporary. Yeah, I know.
And so in your guys' conversations, though, as you reimagine your business model, reimagine the teaching structure, it seems that also you guys wanted to reimagine what else you could do in this space. I mean, we've seen these, virtual choirs and virtual performances, and the people I've talked to said, the students who are used to it playing in groups, not just with their instructors too, but playing with each other or having that kind of collaboration in their world, it's important to try to find a place where you can also give that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the biggest change for everybody has been a social one. I mean, unless you were impacted from an illness point of view, or your family or friends, of course, you know.
Hmm.
But for the majority of people, it's a big social and financial impact in some cases. So, we're doing as much as we can to give these kids and our students kind of outlets to stay social with their music, and I think even the just the one-on-one class, like having that as an anchor in their week, is has been a really great thing for them in this time.
Yeah, tell us
Yeah.
about this virtual concert that you guys did that we're looking at here.
So we usually hold recitals in Mountain View a couple times a year. This year, we're not really sure what's going to happen with our recitals, so we wanted to give the students an opportunity to continue to play for each other, because they spend all this time in their lessons and they're learning one-on-one with the teacher, but they want to share it with each other. So these virtual recitals have been a great outlet for the students to come together. They're playing for each other. They're giving each other really great, encouraging comments through the chat function and Zoom. And and then a lot of the students are still going through the whole motion of playing a recital, taking bows. So, I think everyone really had a great time in both of these recitals, and we look forward to doing quite a few more.
Yeah, it's interesting too because I think they get to see each other in their respective spaces too, right? That music, we're actually getting a peek, good, bad, and ugly, into everyone else's world, but it gives us
Yeah,
more, maybe more dimension to where we all come from in the space in which that music comes from and that expression as well.
completely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Okay, and so then you guys also did. This was the first one that you guys did of. Let me see if I can share this Facebook. Um, let's see. This is me and technology. This Facebook space that you had. Here
That's
we
it.
go. Let's see if we can listen in for a second, and I'll fast forward for the sake of television. Which this was awesome. This is what you live streamed on Facebook. Tell us about this.
Yeah. So, um, as we mentioned before, like the group classes that we're doing on Zoom are for the current students, but we wanted to do something more for the community and just people all around the world. So we came up with the idea of holding, CCM students, California Conservatory student concerts. And yesterday was the very first one. This is the Davison duo, Jack and Elle Davison. They've been students at the school for almost a decade now. And next Sunday, I think it's the 19th, we're having Eric Wong, another one of our students. He'll be giving a recital as well. And, these are just two recitals that we've done so far and we have planned, but we plan on doing some more with current students and some of our alumni as well, who are, they're off to college, but now they're back home because of most of the colleges have had to clear the campus. So
Does that, I mean, it does say a lot about how we're kind of preparing for the long haul in this too. I think in the beginning, people are like, well, let's just get through the next couple of weeks. But when you're planning these online performances for the foreseeable future, I guess, and starting to, how you are looking at this in the long term. I mean, how far out are you two planning?
Yeah, so I mean, my biggest concern for me when this all happened was our employees, to make sure that they can retain an income. And so, we've been planning things out as far as we can. I mean, obviously, I think the next step will be when they lift the shelter in place, like how do people feel, like how comfortable do people feel. But our plan is just, if people want to come to their class, then they can, and if they want to do it on Zoom, then the teachers can just do Zoom from the school. And so I think, yeah, and in the near future and the months to come, it will probably be a combination of in person and digital, and who knows, maybe forever. I mean, these, for us, I mean, maybe we'll always have a digital component now.
Well, that actually, I mean, it is interesting because, we are reimagining our lives in general and how we have always done things. And maybe we didn't have to do it that way. Maybe we wouldn't prefer it this way. But then when we start to see it, we start seeing, well, maybe, because in the San Francisco Bay Area, trying to get to a lesson can also be
Yeah.
prohibitive. I would, imagine just trying to get into traffic, and can I get there on time, and can I squeeze it in with my 17 other activities that, children who are often, have a lot of programs they're involved in, a lot of things they're trying to do, that maybe that's been the one thing that has stopped them, is that I can't get to one more thing. But if you could do it in your room at home and log on, um, then maybe you're more likely to do it. I mean, maybe it would
Yeah,
bring more clients or customers.
I think it's true, and I've seen in the past a lot of like people here, students like the Davis and Duo or Eric Wong, who have been on programs like From the Top and won these very impressive competitions, and they want to be part of our community here, but they live in San Francisco or they live in another part of the Bay where it's tough to get to Redwood City or in Santa Clara, and who knows, maybe this will open up an opportunity for them to be part of our program.
How many new students are you seeing? I'll pull up your guys' site just to give it a little love so people can see this your guys' site. But how, are you getting a lot of new inquiries? I mean, as people are trying to figure out, why and what to do in this new space, and and the things that they always thought, well, this would be a good thing to do, and they're wondering if they can do it as they're sheltering in place and at home. Are you getting a lot of new inquiries?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting a nice steady amount of inquiries, and I noticed that the longer that this shelter in place, as it's been going on, we're getting more and more inquiries. I think because people are realizing, like we really need something for our kids to do, or we need something, we want to learn something new or learn a second instrument. So we've been lucky that since we started the online Zoom lessons, that we have been getting a steady amount of inquiries
What
in
if
the
they don't
past
have
couple.
an instrument at home, but they want one? I mean, what's your best advice to say, okay, maybe the piano is not a great place to start if you don't have
Sure.
a piano right now, but
Yeah,
the violin.
sure. Yeah, of course. I mean, anybody. So, I mean, we have had to change the process that we, sign up new students and had to kind of think of new systems for all that stuff. So, one thing that we do ask people now is like, do you have an instrument? And if they don't, then we are happy to give them advice on possible solutions for that. And give them some affordable recommendations. So yeah, I mean, and we've realized that people have some kind of uh, they're maybe they wanted to start music lessons, but they're not sure if this is the time to do it just because it's through Zoom. So, we're offering everybody a free introductory class so they can try it out, and we're happy to give people recommendations. Our administrative staff is working from home, and happy to get people started, even if they're just curious about how they can start learning. Even if it's not through us, we just want to have people, have music in this crazy time.
And I said, and it's my fault, I said kids, but adults. I mean, I have delusions of grandeur of believing that I could play the guitar, and
We'll
that
get you
that is
set
something.
up.
Yeah,
But I mean,
it's
are you
never too
getting?
late.
Thank you for saying that. I took like a year of piano, and I can still play those few songs that I
Yeah.
that I labored against. But are you getting a lot of adults too? Because I would think that people are saying, well, maybe it's time for me too. Sometimes we focus all on the children learning because they should be doing it, but hey, adults, we could use a lot of more music in our lives too, I think.
Yeah, we do have a lot of adult students at the school already, and we are getting a fair amount of inquiries for adults as well. We've always had a great community of adult students here, and when we have our actual in-person recitals, we have a whole segment of the recital that's just for the adult students. They feel a bit more comfortable playing for each other rather than going right after a 6-year-old playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So.
I can see that. So overall, though, you guys are, at least for now, your business healthy, and I don't know if we can say thriving, but healthy, because that's what we want. We don't want to see, the fallout later on of people not in businesses not being able to survive this, and certainly things that we depend on, like the California Conservatory of Music.
Yeah. Yeah,
Overall,
we're
good
we're
shape.
doing okay. I mean, we're of course of course there's been an effect on us. I mean, but it's been somewhat marginal, and I think the effect was upfront,
Yeah.
and so now it's very clear who's okay to stay with Zoom, and we've been able to drum up a lot of interest in doing classes this way. So
Yes.
Yeah,
we're
And
continuing.
and
how often are you guys playing your own music?
Well, at first it was I was telling friends that this was the least amount of guitar that I had played in some time, but in the past week, I have started to play a lot again. So
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Yeah, I guess there's no excuse not to practice, right? When you're like, oh, I can't practice.
there was an excuse.
There definitely, when this first happened, there was little time, but now as things even out, I can find not just the time, but just the mindset to sit down and feel comfortable and feel, like it's, like I can focus on practice.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this is I've seen a lot of quarantine songs, a lot of creative expression that helps us get get through this time and any way we can, and with music that is maybe one of the best ways we can. Well, Chris and Robert, co-directors of the California Conservatory of Music, I certainly appreciate your time and the music and the way that you continue to deliver music to the community. Thanks so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having us.
Thank you.